Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. This is Olivia here with Team X, and I have a special guest here. His name is Josiah McCloud, and he's going to give an awesome tips today about leadership and a lot of things that you're going to be able to receive today. And I hope, come with your hearts full.
I hope I can help out.
Okay, cool. All right, so I don't know. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Josiah McCloud. I come from a background in business. Like my dad ran a business growing up. He started from the ground up. My career has been, I've worked for companies my entire life, but I've owned a few different companies through my life, as well as continuing on with my career. And I think a lot of what I know comes from just the gift that I was raised with in a house that was like business oriented. Everything was kind of business mindset as well, and I had a great example. Like my dad had tons of integrity and tons of, it was always people first. And so I honestly could give, my dad most of the credit for what I know about business and the type of leadership style that I have.
Wow, that's so cool, Josiah. You had a father that modeled that. When did you know that God called you as a leader in business?
I think like as a kid, I always felt led to do the right thing. Like there's always an opportunity to do something the right way, as my father modeled that for me. And it's funny, I like always felt like almost an outsider in that way. And I'm not saying I have always done the right thing, but knowing that doing the right thing in business is the best thing for everyone. And like it creates a better environment and creates a better business, more repeat customers. Like seeing that in action is, I guess I thought that way at a very young age, just seeing my dad model that. Yeah.
Okay. So like, give me an example. At a young age, did you like have, I don't know, lemonade stands? Like, I mean, what do you mean by leadership?
Oh, I was always hustling. Yeah.
Okay.
I was always hustling. As a kid, if I could sell it, I sold it. In Arkansas, this is a very hilarious story for everyone but me. My family brings up a ton, but so I have family in Arkansas, Hot Springs. So we'd go up, and one thing about Hot Springs, there's beautiful rocks everywhere, like quartz, different minerals and stuff. And I used to love collecting rocks as a kid. I was collecting a lot of different things. But I remember collecting quartz, just like rainbow rocks, they call it up there, and trying to sell them door to door. Because to me, it was special, right? Because in New Orleans, those rocks didn't exist.
Right.
But to them, it was a garden rock.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah, if there's ever an opportunity to turn something into a business, I always jumped at that. Always liked the idea of, especially things I enjoy doing.
Okay.
Like I already loved rocks. And so if I could turn that into some type of business model that was like just another fun thing I could jump into.
That is so cool. Were you successful?
Yeah, they pitied me.
Okay.
Yeah, they did. But there were other times as a kid, like I would make things. I remember pulling up clay out of the ground as a very young child, and we would make like little clay pot, like little things, and they were terrible. But I think starting at that young of an age, like that entrepreneurial spirit at a very young age, helped, especially like people seeing me as a child doing this stuff, and buying things that weren't necessarily that nice. Helped with that, helped me enjoy that process.
Wow.
And continue it along to till now.
Oh, that's so cool. From rocks to leadership here in business now.
Yep.
So now that you're a leader in business, tell us a little bit about how people responded to your leadership in your calling in business.
Yeah. I guess I could maybe kind of start with some anchors in some identity anchors in my life. I think that, like confidence is a big part of leadership. I think everyone kind of agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference between confidence and ego are huge, but they look similar, right? But what I believe is confidence comes from experience and truth, right? You experience life, you make mistakes, and you correct those. You figure out where you went wrong, and that is confidence. That's experience. And those are long-lasting things, whereas ego is about me. Ego is, I know this all the time.
Yeah.
Another anchor I have, is I don't need to be right. I'm a very curious person.
Okay.
And I think staying curious about life, and loving what I do it's a big help. I'm not curious about how paint dries, but I am very curious about what I do, and learning more about that. And so that curiosity always ends up helping me learn more.
Okay.
And the idea that I don't know everything, but I want to know more as much as I can is very grounding for me.
Okay.
So when I don't know an answer, I have no issue saying, "Hey, I don't actually know this, but I'll figure it out."
Nice.
That's another anchor of mine. Another one is kindness.
Mm-hmm.
Kindness is not niceness. Kindness is it's a lot of things, but I think putting people first is a big. Again, I'll go back to my dad. That was a big deal to him.
Wow.
Putting people first,
Wow.
and putting yourself in their shoes. Empathizing, sympathizing with people's situations, like that was always his people first mindset was his business model, and it like helped him be successful. It helped him build a business from the ground up, and that is like seeing that in action.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily make sense. Like being kind to people through business. I think some people view that as a weakness.
Yes.
I think some people view that as like, oh, this is someone I can get over on.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's the same as integrity. I think that, when people in business, people want to be kind. And people that are kind see that, and they want to do business with people like that. That's just a few things, some anchors for myself. Also, connection with people. I think I love talking to people. I love connecting with people. I think everyone, including myself, wants to feel understood and heard.
Right.
And I enjoy when other people feel that way. And that doesn't change with business. It looks a little bit differently than it would from an outside friendship, but that connection is another big thing in my life that I see. Treating people like people.
Yes.
Everyone wants to feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's maybe any one of these points could be a draw for someone to say, oh, this guy's different.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This guy, and it being the motivation being genuine is huge as well. Right. I think people with integrity see that.
Yes.
They see genuine, in themselves and in other people.
So I want to talk about the anchor points you talked about. This is really, really good stuff. I hear the common ground of integrity. Integrity is a lot to you. You said it was modeled at home with your dad. When you talked about having integrity, what is lost at the workplace today that people now yearn for integrity in leadership?
I think that integrity in business, I think we notice when people lack integrity. I think it's easy to point out, but I think there are still a lot of people with integrity at work. I think what it takes is, but there's nothing sexy about integrity, right? Mm-hmm. And so it doesn't get the spotlight.
Okay.
I think something I was going to touch on earlier. I'm glad you brought this up. Was someone with integrity can see integrity in someone else.
Yes.
Right. but someone without it thinks that no one can see they don't have integrity.
Ooh,
right?
good.
And they think that they're, I don't want to say getting away with it, but I think integrity in the workplace it's definitely still there. I think it takes stepping out and showing that. There's a lot of ways to be slimy in business. Easy. And it's seemingly easy to get away with it as well. But integrity comes from within. It's like, having integrity is something you do because it is what you should do.
Okay.
Not because someone else has it, not because this is how life was laid out. It's no, this is the right thing to do. And I think other people see that. It's a big deal. My repeat clients, I'd say most of them come back because of things that I've done to step out and set myself apart. If I can make a few extra dollars doing something, but that move lacks integrity.
Yes.
Whether they see it or not, me coming to them and saying, hey, we don't actually need your money, like for this part, you don't need to hire us for this section because you don't need this, right? They may not ever know that, but just stepping outside of myself and the business and the profit side of it and saying, hey, you don't actually need me for this. And that is integrity. And people see that and know, wow, this guy could have got away with it, but he didn't. What is that? Someone with integrity is going to appreciate that. It's going to trust you for future work.
Wow. That is, I hope you guys just got that. That is a good truth right there. It's a truth bomb. That was awesome. When you said kindness, that is definitely taken as weakness sometimes. Can you elaborate more on the kindness part? Why is that so important as a leader? Because that's not really something that you think of a leader as being kind.
Right. Yeah. I think that was modeled for me at work. I had bosses that were extremely kind to me, and it was that effect. The effect that had on me was life-changing in the workplace versus, and I guess it was the difference between having a very unkind boss and living on and thinking that was the norm, and then someone stepping out. And I'll give an example. I had a boss that, earlier in my career that would ask me, once a week would call me and ask, hey, how are you doing? And I'd start talking about work, and he'd say, no, this is not a work call. This is like, how are you doing?
Wow.
And it took me a couple meetings for me to realize what was happening. This guy actually cared about me. He actually was interested in how I was doing. And I had never experienced it before in the workplace. It was all like, what are your numbers? Where are you hitting these metrics? Is everything, how is work going, right? Why did you miss this? It's always work related. And seeing someone step out and treat me like a human with kindness, changed the way I worked for him. And so I think the example is myself, is seeing someone stepped outside of their position as a boss and talked to me like a person. And that made me work. It brought my stress levels down.
Wow.
It made me realize I could get away with not doing as much, and this guy would still be kind to me.
Wow.
Right? But why would I do that? This is this person is being kind to me. I'm a big believer in giving is receiving. And I think that's what he was doing, right? Yes. He was giving me kindness, but he was receiving it because I wanted to give to him.
Wow.
Because of that. Okay.
So that was reciprocated. How do you lead a team now?
Leading a team, it is a moving target. Leadership is a moving target. It's, based on a lot of things. I think, I was thinking through this yesterday, and asking myself certain questions about, where does kindness interact with accountability?
Yes.
Where does, where does missed deadline, how does kindness play in a leadership role? Kind of back to your question earlier. And, I I think meeting people where they are, it is a huge advantage in business. I think seeing where someone is and being able to empathize with their situation and not compromise on accountability, not compromise on deadlines or expectations, but there's a reason why we work in teams. It's because we're not all 100% all the time. And I think, just an example, like if someone on my team is going through something in life, my directive as a leader is to either step in myself and help them, with what they're going through at work, or pull in other team members to help support them, in that time. I think that is kindness. Whereas the accountability aspect comes in when it becomes a long-term thing, where if someone is not, distracting others, not getting along with everyone, if it becomes an issue at work, and I think that's a big gray area.
Yes.
It's like, where do you draw a line there? I think that comes from experience and saying like, oh, this person's going through something tough. I should be there for them. Or this person is slacking off. I need to be the boss now. And that's an experience thing we have to know. And the only way to know that is to make a mistake. And I've made the mistakes.
Yes.
I've been rigid about things that I shouldn't have been rigid about. And I've been loose about things I shouldn't have been loose about. And every situation is different. So I'm still learning, but I think it's a judgment call.
Okay. For those of us that are tuning in, I have a lot of traders that are in this, watching this, and you're kind of wondering, why am I bringing someone who is talking about leadership? I think this is really important for us to understand that, as I have a lot of breadwinners that are male dominant in trading, and they have a lot on the line and they have a lot of pressure on them, and there's a lot going on, providing for your family, working a job, and having to trade and having to prove that you can. And so I just want to speak into this to encourage all of us. I'm a breadwinner myself, a single mom. And so, no, I'm not a male, but I do help a lot of males in this area. So I kind of want Josiah to kind of speak into ego, and also why can't we stop over trading. I know he did a little trading, but yeah, I'll just kind of let him share his little piece on this as why do we have ego, and why do we need to protect ourselves, and then how can we stop?
Yeah, I think with trading, especially, that is tied to so many things. It's I think we love, as humans, and maybe particularly as men, we love like chasing intensity. Like that's a big, time and time, it's the chase, right? We've always heard that as men, like that's what men enjoys, the chase, right? And that looks like a lot of different things. And knowing when to chase and when to succeed is a big deal. And that's confidence and ego. Right. That's confidence and ego is what that is.
Okay.
You have confidence that, hey, I'm sure about this, or I may not be 100% sure about this, but I know my headspace, where I'm at, why I'm doing these things, because I have the experience,
yes,
and I have the knowledge to do this, as well as the right intentions, both those. Because if you have only one of those, it's not good. If you have the right intentions, you can lose everything. If you have the experience but the wrong intentions, you can also lose everything, right? Whereas I think without those two, it's ego sneaks in.
Yes.
And it's easy to say, to double down. It's easy to when we make mistakes, and I'm speaking for myself, when I've made mistakes in the past, I have doubled down on those mistakes. And I'll speak on rigidity of thought, right? Like I will know that something's true and have the experience to back it up. Like, oh, this has been true for me.
Yes.
And apply it to a new situation that it doesn't apply to. And when I know deep down, this doesn't feel right, but I'm still, no, this is just the way things are, right? I've heard that in business so many times, and and every time I heard, I couldn't quite, nail down what that was when I heard that from, leadership of companies that weren't the best fit for me, but it's ego.
Okay.
It's saying, this is the way things are. And I think that translates well over to trading. When we, decisions should be made based on experience and coming from good intention, not based on feeling, doubling down on something to overcome defeat.
Yes.
That like we all feel defeat in business. We all feel, and it's an uncomfortable feeling. Failing is awful. I don't think anyone enjoys that. Failing, it's a tough thing to go through. And what's easy is to chase the next thing. Once you feel defeated, is to say, I'm now going to double down, so I don't feel that. So I don't have to feel that. So I can feel double the happiness outside of that defeat. And what that usually leads to is exponential defeat. Because it's not based, because our actions aren't based in truth. They're not based in experience. They're not based in confidence. They're based on ego. And ego it's inflated. It's hollow. And so it takes almost nothing to deflate that.
Yeah.
And so if we let that grow, if we let our decisions be driven by ego, then we're gonna lose every time. And maybe not in that moment, but down the line when it catches up and the substance isn't there, you're gonna feel the defeat tenfold.
Okay, that's good. I love that. You talked about, we're parlaying your leadership with your teams to the men and the women who's leading their team of family. Okay. And their family has to follow their decision of their parents. Wives, follow their decision of their husbands. And so when you felt like misunderstood and you had high pressure to perform, how do you regulate that pressure and still, be accountable? Yeah.
So specifically in families, I think it's I think it's so important to have a partner that you can talk to openly and honestly. That's always, a wonderful thing to have in life, is to be able to have someone you can lean on. I'm a big believer that if you're with the right person, then they're going to bring out parts of you that you never would have known existed. The best parts of you that you never would have known existed, right? You never would have seen.
Wow.
And with that comes accountability. With that comes, and I think as men, we don't want to be accountable for our wrong actions, because we have egos.
Why is that?
Because we have egos. Because we know everything and we're perfect at everything, and we don't need directions to get to that house because we can figure it out. It's just the way it is, right? But I think it's really important to have that relationship with your partner to know that, like, I am accountable. Like, I may be like a leader in this home, but I am also accountable to my counterpart, right? I am equal, not greater than, right? And having that in your marriage, in your partnership, it doesn't diminish who you are. It grows you exponentially, right? I know with myself, like finding gentleness in myself has only made me more masculine, right? Has only made me better at things, right? And it seems counterintuitive. Like, it seems like, like gentleness is a weakness, right? But it brings out the best parts of me.
Wow.
In all areas of my life.
Wow.
And so, I think that having that open communication, and, like there's a time to sacrifice. There's a time to make decisions for your family that are tough. And then there's a time to secede and say, hey, this didn't work out quite how I thought it would work out.
There you go.
And this is where I'm at. And it's not saying I'm this or I'm not. It's not condemning yourself. It's just being convicted about, hey, I thought I had it and I didn't.
Okay.
That's important. It's not a weakness. It brings out your strengths.
Okay. I love that. And speaking as a woman, so we're talking about your guys' role as leadership. I know as a woman, sometimes we can be critical and we can recollect all the things that you said you were not going to do or men were not going to do, and you do. And so does that provide safety for you guys to continue to lead us if we continue to do that? Or
I think men are far more critical on themselves than anyone could imagine. I think that men are constantly chasing the next, trying to be better at something, right?
Yeah.
And when they're constantly not meeting their own expectations, we're the first ones to beat ourselves up.
Okay. Wow.
And I think it goes back to like what we talked about just a second ago about being open, having open communication with your partner about, there is communication is, I saw something the other day where there were two pictures, and one was, it was a man coming home from work, and he had a bunch of dirt on his shoes, and his thought bubble said, I've really had an awful day at work. I'm so glad to be home. And then the first picture had his partner in there that said, I'm so glad he's home, but his boots are so dirty. And then the second one was along the lines of he needs to take his shoes off before he comes in, right? And there's not a wrong answer for that. It's a communication breakdown. It's her intention was, I love you, but take your boots off, right? But the man had a hard day at work, right? So there are like ways to communicate that are more effective. And I think it's really easy to be lazy with communication.
Come on.
And that comes from both sides. I'm not saying one side's more responsible than others, but it's really easy to not communicate effectively. I found in myself, like I will stop, if I say something I don't mean, I will stop and repeat, say, hey, that's not what I meant. This is what I meant. There's always an effective way to communicate and a lazy way to communicate.
Okay.
And the communicating effectively it's difficult, but that's how you build a trusting partnership or marriage. And that's where accountability, you can be accountable in that partnership and not feel like you hear this word like nagging, right? Like that's just ineffective communication.
Right.
On both sides.
Yes.
It's not just one, it's ineffective communication. And there's always a way to communicate effectively, I believe.
Okay. All right. Wow. I might have to bring you on for relationships, man.
Okay. I'll give it a try.
It was really good. I want to ask you, so you talked about meeting people where they're at. I have a weakness in this area. I have a big empathy well. And how do you know as a leader to switch up from holding them accountable, like you said, rigid? You can be too rigid, or you can be too lax. When do you know? Like for me, that's a salsa. I still am kind of wondering how to do that. Like when to know to empathize them and to give them that little lax time, or to hold them accountable. Like this is a deadline. You still need to do this.
Right. Yeah. I think that goes back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier, about knowing the situation and also checking yourself in that moment of, when I'm going to be rigid about something, I always like to check my intentions.
Okay.
Is my intention because I want to demand respect, or is my intention about the job getting done, or is my intention, what is my intention in the situation? And so I tread on rigidity very, very carefully.
Okay.
Because it's very important, but it can be misconstrued. Just, we're talking about communication. Like, it's being rigid is about being, like, it's equal parts being rigid as well as effective communication. If you're rigid in thought about, or not in thought, but if there is a deadline that's coming up and this client, it has to be done.
Yes.
There's a way to say, I'll give an example. So I had a worker of mine constantly late on task, constantly late on the work that they were doing, and it was subpar. It was just like it just kept happening over months and months and months. And I realized I wasn't being kind, I was being nice about this performance. And in that situation, it was as easy as me saying, this will be done by Friday.
Okay.
The due date was Monday, but it was going to be done on Friday. And offering myself as, I'll work with you to get this done.
Okay.
And so, like, in that situation, rigidity was me stepping in and working extra hours. So I was being rigid while also volunteering my time.
Yes.
So it wasn't just go do this or else. It was, let's do this together, and we're going to get it done early.
And what happened to it?
We got it done early, and it was great because, like, it was a team effort.
Okay.
Right. And when it comes to backing off, I think that is, I think different leadership style. I mean, I think there is no perfect leader. I think you're going to lean into rigidity or you're going to lean into kindness. I think there's going to be one or the other. I think that there are leaders that have effectively done both. And that's a beautiful thing to see. But I think most of us normal people either lean into one or the other. And I think it's checking. For me, I'll usually lean into empathizing with someone. I'll usually lean into, but at the same time, I have to think. This is a relationship I have with a client that I told would get done by this time. Right. So it's like, kindness isn't letting someone slack off.
Come on.
Because I'm now being very unkind to someone I made a promise to. I'm also lacking integrity in this situation.
Yes.
Where I said, hey, this will be done. Right. And so that accountability is sometimes uncomfortable. Right. And so setting that tone of, hey, like, understand. I mean, I always like to use the example, big nature guy. So I love using examples of nature, right? You see like an animal, like a tiger eating another animal, and you're like, oh, that's so awful. Like, well, it's going to feed its family, right?
Right.
It's like, well, it's not being kind to that animal. It seems like it's not being kind to that animal, right? But he's feeding his family. And I hate to use that in a business sense, right? It seems pretty extreme. But I think the point is clear. It's like, things may not look nice in business, but they are but they can still be kind. Okay. And if someone and deep down, if someone's working for you, their opinions of kindness are not really what matters. It goes back to what's your intention and what's your experience in this, and that's kind of the delegate of how to proceed. That's good. I receive that. That is really great. I have found myself getting into the boat with a person, and I'm like, all right, let's do this together, but there's a deadline as well. So yeah, that's cool to know that. Yeah. Okay. That's really awesome. We're closing here soon. This was a wonderful interview. I guess I want to do a challenging question for you. You ready? Sure. Cool. So when everybody is going in a different direction, everybody has a say on your team and they're all not getting along, and you as a leader got to make that call. What do you do? Like, how do you
Are you appeasing everybody, or are you about to make a call that will unite people? How do you do that?
So just to clarify, you're asking when there's a lot of different opinions of how to effectively complete a task.
I'm sorry. Let me put that disclaimer. They don't agree with you.
And they don't agree with me. I've been there.
You know that
Oh yeah, I've been there.
That so much.
I have definitely been there, and I've also been wrong when everyone disagrees with me as well. And that is not great. It's not a great position to be in. But I think it doesn't. I think at the end of the day, what's more important to me is for them to feel like a team.
Okay.
And if I need to temporarily be the enemy, that's okay. If I need to temporarily be, to appear to be a dictator in that time that brings them together as a team, that's the most important thing to me, is their teamwork. And I think, for myself, and that's not like always the approach to have, you don't want to be the enemy of your team, but life is not cookie cutter. Life is not, there is no one way to do life. There's no way to lead. There's no one way to there's no one way to do anything in business. It's based on, it's situational, right? And there are exceptional cases. And so when a team is disagreeing with themselves and disagreeing with myself, there's two ways that I'd go about this. And the first would be iron fist, to go in and say, hey, this needs to be done. You have by this time to figure this out, or I'm going to make the decision on how we're going to do this, right? You come together as a team. And that's more of the dictatorship, right? Of figure it out, or I'm going to make the decision for you, right? We're all children at heart.
Okay.
And we're going to disagree like children.
Right.
So if you treat people like children,
they will behave like
one. They will behave like, right. And so if you treat them like adults, they will behave like adults. So when people are acting like children, you treat them basically you take a situation, if someone is acting up, and you say, these are our options, you choose. Give them the option, right?
Love that.
And if they don't love the way that you do that, then tough, right? The other way is to sit down and brainstorm. I've done this probably more times. I've done it this way, where there's an approach to a job or a task, or just the way to do something. I had an issue with, there's so many different planners, like there's Microsoft Planner, there's Asana, there's to keep up with your work and the things that you're doing. And I remember sitting down and no one agreed. This is actually the exact situation. No one agreed and no one wanted to hear my opinion. And it was like, it was tough, because I had to sit down and ask them, what do you guys think? Like, let's work this out together, because I also want to learn here.
Right.
And so that was a moment where I was able to sit back and say, I don't know this is the best answer that I think it is. You guys disagree with this. I want to hear your side of it.
Yeah.
And so what I did was I had them all put together a little 5-minute presentation on what they thought, and
that's cool. I like that.
And how they would utilize it, and why, and more importantly, how would this benefit the team?
Okay.
Because we can all individually say, I like using Microsoft Planner because that's what I've always done, right? But how does that benefit the team?
Okay.
Why is the team going to benefit from this? And what I found was, at the end of the day, when the decision was made, it was best for the team. And that decision did not end up, it didn't end up being what I proposed.
Right.
Right. But I was convinced, because these are smart people, right?
Okay.
Like I hire smart people that do a better job than I do most of the time. And, or at least I want them to.
Right.
But having them set their own expectations on something and think in more of a teamwork thought process, we were able to come to the best decision that way. And we ended up using Asana, this planner, organizational tool, and everyone benefit from it.
Wow.
Because it was a team effort, more of a democracy. So
that's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I just learned something too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I did too.
Oh, you did?
With the Asana. That wasn't my first choice.
Well, I just learned, that's cool. Have people pitch their ideas and then you guys as a team elected.
Right.
Okay.
And ultimately the decision was mine, right?
Right.
But I wasn't trying to flex power.
That's so cool.
I was trying to encourage teamwork.
Okay. Yeah. I feel, humbled by that. Thank you, Lord. What's your closing thoughts? What do you want to tell our viewers before we leave?
I think it's really important to speak from integrity, not impressiveness.
Okay.
That's a big thing for me. I think being an expert in the room, it's really easy to feel self-important when you're talking. But speaking from integrity and experience, it's I exist to support.
Wow.
As a leader, right? And leading is just supporting. It's not dictating, right? I'm there as a support, and it's not self-important. Confidence and ego. It's back to that. Those are the two. Those are constantly in a battle, and so I think speaking from integrity, not impressiveness, not in look how impressive I am. It's like, oh, how can I help you? I think that's a
such
big
an empowerment, right?
Yeah, it's very empowering. Another thing is leaving people feeling grounded, not sold to. What we're trying to do is obviously we're selling something, whether it's a service, whether it's a product, whatever it is, like we're selling something, but we don't want to make people feel like they're being sold to. We want to make them feel grounded. Mm-hmm. And the intention is both. Right. We're selling to, but also like it goes back to connect. I want people to feel a connection. I want people to feel like, oh, I think I kind of get this guy. Like this is my people, and so, leaving people feeling more educated, okay, and not swindled is a big deal. And like, we all know the obvious ones, we've always heard the used car dealer, thing where this guy's a swindler, yes, right? But in business, you can see them too. Yes. Right? Yes. And like, that may not be their intention, right? To feel swindly, that they really do believe in this product, but it takes intention, right, to educate, okay, and not to just solely be selling to. So, man, well, there you have it, you guys. No flexing as a leader, and have integrity. Most importantly, having integrity. And thank you, Josiah, for coming in. Sure, thanks for inviting me. Yeah.
Guys, we'll tune in for next time and post your comments, and we'll read them all. And thank you for showing us your love. All right, tune out. Bye.